Nigeria to hold a soiree for his Emmy Africa Awards. He's the founder of Emmy Africa Awards. Guys, we have in the studio Kojo Sobo. And brother, welcome to Showbiz A to Z.
Thank you.
You know, when I read the story, I was like, nah, Kojo is working, really working. But we'll get into that, we'll talk about that later. Right. But guys, so today I'm hanging out with a man who has many parts. I grew up listening to him, heard his voice on radio. Voice. I mean the voice.
Why not using the voice anymore?
The velvety voice. You get it? I saw him on TV, Metro TV.
Voice.
I read his articles and stories in the Jive newspaper.
Right. Wow.
Then, fast forward, he is the director of the biggest street art festival in this country.
In Africa, I think.
In Africa, yes. In Africa. Guys, take a listen to this.
Oh.
It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and everybody's tired in this place. Everybody's asleep. The only people up are me and Hammer of the last two. The voice you're hearing now is the signature. And the album you're about to experience is a piece of genius that was produced entirely by Hammer of the last two. That's right. What you're about to hear is a product of Execution Entertainment. And if y'all don't know, Execution Entertainment is a Bravos record label. And it's a congress of the toughest and the ruggest MCs of this industry. Everybody on this album, every track on this album here is manned by a soldier, trained with the funk. That's right. Of course, there are a few stars that were guests on the album, like Kwame Yogi Dogi and 4x4, quote unquote already made artists. But the real cream of the album comes from these soldiers, tough and daring. You're about to hear supreme lyricist on this album.
Are you feeling the voice? Yeah, this is the sweetest voice I've ever heard. Oh yeah. You want more, Uncle?
Wake up, Accra. Welcome to the Lost Files. Be easy. This is the shit. That's right, give it up. Second soul, take a flow. You know how we ride around here. Last two. Jump boy. Strap on your seatbelt. You're in for a long ride. Welcome to our world. I'll see you in the next chapter.
All right, guys. So I guess you know who I'm talking about, who we have in the studio today. Melvin Ni Mantse Aryeequaye. How many of you knew he's called Melvin? Why did you hide that Melvin though?
I have a proper name.
Which one? Which is that, Mantse?
My Ghana name, yes, Aryeequaye.
Melvin is not proper name?
Melvin is an English name, though. I'm not
okay.
English.
Okay, so you decided to just...
The minute I finished high school, I stopped using it.
Okay.
So anybody who calls me that, then
Knows you way back.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so when I was playing the intros, I saw the reaction in your face.
Right.
How did you feel?
I was back in the studio.
You were back in the studio.
Yeah, I was back in the studio.
How was
That was like 2002.
Wow, 2002.
I was still in college.
and when you were in the studio recording this, what was the feeling like?
Everything that I said there is real. Like I had to, I have school, so I wake up really early, go to the studio, do my tracks, and then I go to school. And sometimes, after school, then I have to.
Which level of school was that?
I was studying communications at the Ghana Institute of Journalism.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How was the creative process like? So when you got into the studio, did you script the intros or they came extempore?
I usually freestyle it. I don't write it.
They were freestyles.
Oh, everything I've done with music has been off the top of my head.
Are you serious about that?
Oh, you can ask Hama.
Okay, I'll come back to this whole voiceover thing. But
Right.
how did you get into the art industry? Because you do almost everything in the arts. Video editing, to radio, to TV, you alone. At what point in time did you get into the art?
Well, 2000.
2000?
In the year 2000. But in 2001, I was actively producing a TV show.
Okay.
We
Which
were
station
working
was
at
that?
Hasha Studios then.
Okay.
It was a private production house, and we're producing shows for Metro TV at the time. Well, we had a show on Metro TV, so we produce it in house, and it will be broadcasted on Metro TV. So that was during that period. I was also in school. I was in GIJ then.
Okay.
So I had hands-on production, journalism, cinematography experience before I went to journalism school.
Okay.
So it was a flight for me. I kind of flew through it, but then we were working at Hushers too, which was where most of the big hip live albums also came out of, and when we were in high school, we made music, like in Presec. During our period, this is the late 90s. We had one of the biggest EPs in the high school circuit. That was an interesting period because during that time, every long vacation there were shows. That young people, high school students like myself and my friends, we could participate.
How old were you then?
Oh, you want me to talk my age? Why?
No, then.
I was a teenager. A teenager, like 13.
Oh, okay.
There was Kid Fest, Playback. I don't know if you guys remember Playback. Playback used to be held at the Golden Tulip. There was Recognize. Recognize was a huge rap and dance show. It was organized by this gentleman named Prince Azuma. He was in Legon at the time.
Okay.
This is a period that Madame Koko Amatefio was the head of the National Theatre. So that period was really interesting. That period was really interesting. You got performance practice. Your work was critiqued. And Auntie Koko, she'll be sitting in the seats. And when you're not doing it properly, some people come and they want to be other people. She has a way of making fun of you and also correcting you at the same time without it being like, full of tension. And those were exciting times. There were rap competitions, inter-schools. That's where I met Pozo and Sydney, Joti, who later on they went on to produce like full-time albums. They became professional musicians. It was through that I met Reggie. That's how me and Reggie became friends. Nane J. Parker. Do you remember Nane J. Parker? He used to work here. Stay in touch. The Mobitel Traffic Watch. You people, you're kids.
We're kids. You're kids.
We're kids. You're kids. So the mid to late 90s was an interesting time. Also then hip life had taken off. CH, Combined House of Music, wasn't far from my parents' house. You know, so we used to hang out there sometimes, you know. Zap. Yeah, Zap has sacked us from the studio a few times.
He sacked you?
Well, I mean, we just showed up. At the time we heard that Reggie was in the studio. You know, this is some American guy. Did he do something? You know, so well, my friend came and got me. He said, "Do you know somebody?" I said, "No, let's just go." So we went. We just climbed up, and then we went and stood in the studio. So I think he turned around, and then he saw. He was like, "What do you want?" He said, "Oh, we came here to see my friend." Now, you know, Zap became my friend later on. You know, I mean, people that I used to watch on television, Ambule, Amanziba, you know, these are inspiring characters who we looked up to, you know. And all of that sort of dovetailed into this music movement that we're experiencing now. And also this cultural revolution that has sort of taken hold of this country in the last 10 years, you know.
We get into that, but there was Funky Functure.
Wow, this guy.
You
Wow.
you listen to this.
What? Don't tell me you have a tape.
Ready to run the pen, you never really have feel like this on the regular. Lawyer for a waste, when I pull up in the tactical. You know it's hot brain, the cool, so those train and lose your sight ain't the boost, but they can't use a transparent receipt for actors receive all. When they start bringing glass cut over the floor. Shaky like epilepsy, it's spread the fever like so leprosy, this region flow. You call my bluff and take it standing by the blow for blow. And that's my mother, I focus my plans on. And never thought that I can run without my hands on. Wait, cause I got my pants on. My song is now an anthem for firstborn's birthdays, so word is born.
Oh ho, Tobo, Minamini, Atomini, Ejojo, Mukafimi Nasu, Mitimsuni Afro, Owumpusro, Wano Pasem, Bayabino, who need you, Fiasem, Yamani, Minisane, Onipa Dani, no Camelion, or Dani Dani, Mihumana Midani, or Time, Mukumeni Massachra Masai, Ebiani, or Raffo Trapesa, Musu, or Pantan.
On two, test on the mic, walk away. If you don't like it, if you think you can do better, let's have a look.
The song in the background is Mamindre Meho, you know, taking off Bradford's Paimuka album, 1999.
Yeah.
And it started with Manche's rap, actually.
Right.
So you used to be a rapper.
I was for a while, you know. Yeah. I just my parents wanted me to go to school, so
Go to school and start rapping.
Yeah.
Now let me bring in Kojo. Kojo, Manche is right here, you know, the voice, you know, the talent and everything.
Let me say for the record, Kojo is an amazing producer.
Wait.
You know, this guy, we need to prop him up. Like he's doing amazing work. He's doing really amazing work.
Thank you.
And I didn't know it was him when he came. By the CME Africa. Like,
yeah,
mad
that's
respect,
him.
man.
Thank you.
Mad
Thank
respect.
you,
That's him. Now it's time for him to say something about you.
Well, I have maximum respect for him. I mean,
same here.
If you don't know him, then I mean, as he rightly said, you're a kid. We all grew up listening to him. His voice is impeccable. I was just telling him why he stopped doing videos, because he's a veteran. I mean, in that space. And I mean, I applaud what he's doing with Chalewote, and he's moved on to greater things. But I believe that the voice is still there.
Oh yeah,
bring it back,
voice,
please, because we're doing things with the voice in when we're in SS. I remember the dance moves and all those things.
Confess your sins.
It's amazing, and we need to. I mean, if Mantse was in the US or something, he would be, yeah. We need to celebrate our own. We need to prop up our own. Celebrate. This guy he should be winning some national awards.
Hey.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
because Chalewote Chalewote is huge. It's huge. People plan and come quietly and attend Chalewote and leave.
True,
When you go to Chalewote, sometimes you don't even hear the PRO. But when you attend the event, you're like, how did these people come here? He's doing an amazing job.
Yeah, that's why we're
all
celebrating
need-
him here, right
yes,
here
yes,
on Joy
yes,
FM.
yes, and
Yeah.
you know, thumbs up to Joy, to the entire team, and the kind of research, the kind of questions you are even asking him.
Hey, this guy.
Shows that you guys are doing, you know, great. You should be doing more of these things.
You know our tagline?
Yeah.
Joy Entertainment.
Yeah.
We are large and in charge.
Oh yes, most definitely you are. So I'm thrilled to to meet him.
Yeah.
Same here.
And connect with
Same
him.
here.
I think that one of the most important things we need to do as an industry is to connect and to learn from each other, because we don't know it all. You know, there are things that I can tap from him, and you know that there are things that he can tap from me as well. So
Absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
really thrilled to meet him, to make this connection, and yeah, we are going to be good friends from
Nee,
yeah, great.
Yes, sir.
still on The Voice, did you make gains from the voiceovers? Did you make enough gain?
All of that was, it was pure passion, you know, for one to be up in the studio at 3 a.m. in the morning. It's if you're not driven or passionate about what you're doing, you can't do that. But I wouldn't say that it's been that was paying my bills or I've made like a fortune off of it. I didn't know what I know now then, you know. So you know, it was like it was more fun, you know. One wants to support a project, you know. I could have put out an album, but I had school, but then I also thought that there were artists within the community who wanted to do music, so I sort of like stayed in the back. People are just beginning to find out about my voice. You know, my voice has been attributed to different people throughout the years, you know. So I always wanted to stay in the back, you know, and not put myself out as
People knew the voice more than the personality, as in
yes, there's a recognition for
image.
the voice, but my person is not attached to it, you know, which also gave me a life, you know, out of the spotlight. I think people know me from television, you know, in my days at Metro. But it's only recently that people have started connecting me to my old work, my music work, you know, which is pretty interesting. And, you know, my man was just telling me how when they were in high school, they used to dance.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's pretty fascinating. It's pretty fascinating. But here we are, you know. It was during that period that my interest in cultural production got heightened, you know. I showed a whole documentary on hip life, you know. Yeah.
Which year was that?
I finished it from 2001 to 2008.
Oh, okay.
We had a private release. It's called Rhythm Rising.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it online?
No, it's not. I'm thinking about doing a re-edit and re-releasing it.
Okay.
You know, I have over 200 hours of tape.
Hey.
Yeah.
Wow.
Everybody that was within the hip hop community between 2001 and 2008 is in there, you know. But of course, I mean, the music has transformed. I thought we had a great opportunity with Azonto and we let it slip, you know. But we have momentum now, you know. Within cultural production, Ghana has a lot of momentum. So now we just need to find the right spots and propel ourselves forward, you know. But things are not as difficult as they were 23 years ago when I was, you know, actively producing music work.
All right, guys, still right here on Joy 99.7 FM. We're here with Mantse Aryeequaye, who is the director for Chalewote Street Art Festival, and also here with Kojo Sobo, the founder of Emmy Awards Africa. And today we're talking about Chalewote, but you know, we're just starting to know a bit about Mantse before we get into Chalewote proper, because multimedia is the main media partner for this year's Chalewote Street Art Festival. We're covering every single thing at Chalewote this year. So you need to stay glued to our various platforms. If you have any question for Mantse Aryeequaye, please send them via 055 WhatsApp number, and let's get interactive right here. Let me still your voice not be the matter. So when you got into the studio, who booked you? Was it the producer? Was it the artist? Was it the executive producer? Those days.
I'll tell you how it started. I met Edward, say, most people call him Hammer.
Okay.
I met Edward through Lover. We were hanging out at Fusion. Fusion used to be Matador nightclub. That's where Citizen Coffee building is now. And he said, there's a guy, there's a producer friend of mine you need to meet. Because me and Lover used to do shows at La Beach, Thursday night, prime cuts, rest in peace, Kareem, DJ Jallo. Those were the guys who gave us access to like hip-hop music, the freshest hip-hop music. And we're in boarding school then, so we would run from school on Thursday nights to come and perform at Labadi Beach. That's how I met Lover.
All right.
All right. So Sai connects me to Hammer. At the time, he hadn't even started recording a Rapper's album. I met him on the bridge at Legon. There used to be a bridge across the road before the interchange came. So we met there in the afternoon because, we didn't have cell phones then. We had house phones. So he said, meet me at the bridge at 3 p.m. So we met. I went to his house. He played me some beats. We did some freestyle. Well, long story short, a year later, we recorded a Rapper's album, and the rest is history.
Wow.
So it was through that. That's how I started working actively in music and putting out work.
Did you work with other producers apart from Hammer?
No. Well, I did some stuff with Red Eye. During his Too Tough days, this was mid 2000s, 05, 06, thereabout. Yeah, but I worked mainly with Edward. Hey, Daddy Bosco.
Buffalo.
Daddy Bosco. They said.
All right, guys.
So all the things I'm telling you, Daddy Bosco can take you further back.
Oh.
Further back. Should I tell you something? Let me tell you how we first met. I don't think you remember. Right out of high school, there was a commercial out for...
You will continue, but before that, guys, so...
Let me just tell you the story.
Daddy Bosco just joined us, and, he's one of the biggest personalities we have in this music industry.
Daddy Bosco used to be at Groove FM.
Yeah.
He interviewed me for the job. I didn't get it. He gave it to Rachel Nyan.
Oh.
Do you remember? But I was so confident I was going to, and then I didn't get a call, so I went back there and I asked Daddy Bosco, I was here for it. He said, we've already picked somebody. A giant since. This was 1998.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, 98.
Yeah.
So many years ago.
Right. You see, I said he said video.
Oh, I see.
So went to London.
All right. So you worked for Hammer.
With
Hammer.
Yeah.
All right. But you used your voice on other products, as in voiceovers for other products, right? You did that for other.
Well, during my period at Metro, I did a lot of voiceovers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I read news. I've been around, Charlie. I've been around. But my voice was predominantly within the music space. I was also producing music, which I didn't release on I never put it out. Yeah. So my music part part is still calling me.
It's still calling.
It disturbs me
Why,
every
why,
day.
why are you not responding to the call?
Because I've responded, but I'm not. There's things that I have to do, then I can respond properly. Yeah, you know. Somebody told me that we have at least 10 talents when we come here. 10, yeah, and you have to discover all of them, and
No,
you have to
every individual
every
has
individual,
10 talents.
Basic, on the basic level, there's 10. Then you have to respond to all of it, because if you don't, on your deathbed, they'll come to you.
How many haven't you responded to yet?
Like
Because you've
4.
done almost everything.
Right, like 4.
4. Which are these?
I can't say. Yeah, but Chalewote is taking a lot of my time.
Okay.
You know, we spend the whole year putting it together, producing it. So my focus has been, the last 12 years in developing a cultural device that can travel. Yeah.
We are moving there gradually into Chalewote. But
Right.
how did you get on Radio Good?
Oh, this guy. So I was a guest. I used to guest present with Kofi Otredakun.
Okay.
These were my days at Metro TV.
Yeah.
So one time he invited me over to just come hang out, and he said, bring your music. And I have like a massive music collection. Those times we were playing CDs, So I'll take my pouch and we'd do a show. I did it one time and we had such great chemistry. He kept on asking me to come back. So I think during that period people thought that I was working at Radio Good. No, I was guest presenting on KOD's show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which show was that? Was it a hip hop show?
I tried to turn it into a hip hop show. So sometimes Kofi is unable to go in, and he'll call me. Shikumi, Ngoyo. I say, well, day out, Charlie, you go feel feeling for me. I said, okay. So I just, take my CDs and then I'll go. And I'll turn the whole thing into like a hardcore hip hop show. I'll bring Skillions. So we'll be on air and then BB Mantse will call. Charlie Manche, you people they talk too much. Play music. Yeah, so I wasn't like officially a staff of Radio Gold. I was guest presenting, really, And I used to go on the how'd you say?
Solid Gold Countdown?
Yeah.
Prime Eye.
Right. I used to go on his show.
As a pundit. You were a pundit then?
I wouldn't call it punditry. It was more like analysis.
Yeah.
I think that it's an almost lost craft now. Social media does that, Now algorithms are deciding for everyone what art is, what is beautiful, what represents talent. Your artificial intelligence is deciding that for you. So of course it's also made the technology much more accessible. I remember when we switched over to private media, state media almost disappeared, because the private media came with such freshness and style and verve that the state media lacked. Social media is doing that to private media now. The thing that private media did to the state media, social media is doing to private media now. So a lot of content on social media is showing up on terrestrial radio.
True.
Because that's where the action is. And, you also find that there's so much out there, the transformation between like terrestrial broadcasting and like social media is so vast. Now you can switch on your phone and put a camera in your face and you're viral. 25 years ago that was impossible. You needed like traditional radio to do that. So there's been massive transformations, within the the broadcast space, the cultural space also, and also how this tech has. I'll tell you this: when we started Chalewote, we didn't have a budget for advertising, so we relied heavily on social media. Heavily,
Yes.
you know, and we built our crowd and interest primarily through social media. I'm just coming into mainstream media because now I'm told that you have to make an appearance, and but for a long time I wasn't interested,
Okay. I think gradually, I think we should get into the Chalewote because how Chalewote conversation is coming up like that. But before we do that, Buffalo, Daddy Bosco, Rasta, Wagwan. Everything cool and ice?
Cool.
Yeah, man. Me parts were good? Daddy Bosco, welcome to Showbiz A to Z.
Thanks,
we have Mantse here today. We are celebrating him even ahead of this year's Chalewote Street Art Festival. What do you have to say to all that he's done in this industry?
I was monitoring the conversation on my way here, and until the wahala with Obrafour came up, I personally didn't know that he was the voice saying Killer Cop. No idea.
Right.
You didn't know?
No.
Wow. Wow.
That's why he said that some way his persona had been separated from the public and the person we all knew. Do you understand? Chalewote, like he said, they hadn't been on mainstream media. So killers in Ghana didn't really know. It was like underground and it was there.
Yeah.
Until my nephews and my nieces kept telling me year after year, Uncle, where Chalewote? And I'm like, but 2 years ago, you guys told me you are going to this thing.
Right.
And you've told me again that you're going to this thing. So I think it was the 4th year or so that I decided to go to Jamestown. Let me have a Accra boy. My mama is from Accra, so we have a house in Accra. Charlie, I couldn't find anywhere to put my foot. And I was like, hey, so this thing they happen how this thing they happen? Then I realized that, this thing the bubble for social media top. And since then, I've been amazed at the way the international community have latched on to this thing. I think there's this particular, she's South African or so, and she comes and she does like a nude art thing. Big hit.
Dean.
Big hit. And I'm like, so all these people outside Ghana are aware of Chalewote and they plan towards it. Mantse Aryeequaye, you've done well.
Yeah. Nyaradon.
All right, Showbiz A to Z. And if you have any question for Mantse Aryeequaye, you can send via 055 997. I've seen more Melvins in the messages coming. Chief Mumin is right here with us, a regular panelist, pundit.
What does that word even mean?
It means you're a pundit. He's a poet and a playwright. Chief, we have Mantse today right here with us.
Yes. I think also Mantse means like an honored personality in Ghana or something like that, right?
Right.
Like a big man.
Chief.
A chief.
Yeah, this is a big man, Anyway, good to have Mantse. Good to have Chalewote in the studio today. I mean, Chalewote over the past years has become one of our main cultural activities, very big, which the growth of Chalewote was quite organic, over the years. It wasn't, by any major media, establishment trying to push this. It's just the people who made Chalewote what it was, right? And for me, what is even more critical when you examine Chalewote is a platform that it's created to essentially springboard a lot of contemporary Ghanaian artists today. A lot of them, started off, exhibiting their works at Chalewote, and it gained a lot of international attention and, pushed them. I also attempted to take advantage of the opportunity that Chalewote offered. unfortunately, I didn't receive as much resounding commercial success as some. Just kidding. I mean, a couple of years ago, I mean, I used to talk about my Mantse project a lot, and I felt that I needed some imagery to the project that I will use in my proposals and all of that. And Chalewote was a perfect opportunity. So we did this whole procession, So we did a whole Mantse procession at Chalewote. That was massive.
That was massive.
Yeah, we did it for 2 days. We'll move and stop, and I'll do some poem. My voice became very hoarse, and we ended up in the evening with a performance on stage. And it gave me some of my very, 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 very iconic, imagery. I had this particular powerful image. You see my caravan in the middle, and literally tens of thousands of people just on the street. So it almost evoked Mantse on his 60,000 caravan. So congratulations to Mantse and his team over the years for the work that they have done. I'm interested in hearing the story and the kind of work that goes into curating such a massive mammoth cultural activity. He mentioned that he pretty much spends the whole year in organizing it, and I think that when it comes to our tourism today, that's one of the projects that we can really be proud of, and it's nice that at least Joy FM is now also putting their brand to make it more popular, or at least sustain the excitement over the years. So for me, two things: the organic growth of Chalewote and the platform it has created for many young Ghanaian contemporary artists to get global acclaim and attention.
Okay, thank you, Chief. So after doing music, doing voiceovers, doing radio, television, why did you decide to put together Chalewote Street Art Festival? What was the inspiration?
Chalewote was my final year project at GIJ.
Hey.
The person you should speak to is Abel Gavelor. Daddy Bosco knows Abel.
Okay, who's he?
He was I majored in photojournalism, and he was my photojournalism lecturer. He's the one who taught me how to see. So I don't speak about Abel enough, but he's having a photography salon during Chalewote.
Okay.
Inside the castle on the 23rd. It's free. Come and learn from a master. So it was, I had a discussion about fly posting my work. Woodine. The Woodine shop, there's a street next to it that goes further down. So my plan was to fly post my final year project on that street, and I didn't know how much the print of the large format photographs will cost. It was ridiculously expensive then. So I got a quote and I went to give it to my mom. And she said, what are you going to... You should do something else. It's too expensive. And I said, this is how I want to do it. And they said, go and give it to your father. And I had thought twice about showing it to the old man because it was a lot of money. So I went back and we had a conversation about it. And he said, think of something else. This kind of money is too much. Anyway, in the end, I decided to turn in a magazine instead for my final year project, and I came up on top of my class. So that thing, it lingered for a long time. That was a photography project that later on morphed into. I had time. This was the mid 2000s when I graduated. So between the mid 2000s to about 2008, 2009, that's when I sort of fine-tuned it, but then I was testing it in bits. It was only in 2011 that we decided, okay, we're going to go full on and try this thing out. So we had these gatherings, a talk party. We used to have it at Passions in Osu. We would gather as artists and, discuss and share. And for a long time, the discussions were about, why this is not happening. So after a while, it just felt like a gathering of people complaining about what wasn't working. So I got tired of that, gathering every time and complaining. So let's do something. Let's try out something. I remember there was about maybe 40 or 50 of us at that gathering. And, I proposed that we try out the Street Art Festival. there was a lot of excitement. Yes, this, that. When we got really down to it, there was just like 8 people left. From like 50 people to like 8 people. Yeah, everybody ran away. You know, and we put the first one on in Jamestown. I remember I went to talk to Nita Kotego. Nita Kotego was he still heads the Gamashi Development Agency.
Okay.
Yeah, and he took me to the King of Jamestown, Obrimpon, to go see him, and you know, he explained to him, this is what we want to do in the community, and it's always a good thing. And he said he should give us the park for free, they shouldn't let us pay for anything. And me and Nita Kotego went round for a whole week with the crew, begging Jamestowners to come out. Literally begging. That was Nita Kotego. Nita would say, "What be a man, Baba?" Me and we walked, listen, like maybe 5 people came, you know, from the community. We had our first, whatever. But we were persistent. You know, we were persistent. We tried the first one, the second time. The second time, we collaborated with a collective from Marseille, Générique Vapeur. You know, it was paid for by the French embassy then. That's when the Blue Men came into Jamestown. You know, and I mean, long story short, we've had years to make mistakes and learn, because of course there was nothing like that happening. So you're creating, but also you're learning on the job. You know, and it's, you know, this space, sometimes we are not allowed to make mistakes. I think mistakes are really important. You know, mistakes are really important, because that is the only way you can fine-tune something, you know. So there are things that happen in the back that nobody sees. Sometimes there are things that we're supposed to do that never happen, but because it's projected from the back, you don't really notice that maybe this was supposed to happen. You know, all I'm saying is we've had time to practice for 12 years, you know, to create this phenomenal project, and yeah, it's been great. It's been great, and I'm grateful for the people who believed in what we were doing and supported us. Yes, much love, much love, much love.
So, which year did you have your biggest break? Did you first have your biggest break?
Biggest break as in visibility?
Visibility as in getting people to know about it and to patronize it.
2014.
14, okay.
Yes. 2014, on the weekend, we got rained out.
Oh.
There was massive rain from about 11 in the morning till about 3 p.m. And when the rain cleared, like 1 million people showed up. I mean, I don't know if there were 1 million, but there was no space. And I was wondering how it happened, because usually, you know, we behave like salt whenever it rains. Everybody is afraid to go outside, like you go melt, you know. But then a lot of people showed up. That was the first time Ambule performed at Chalewote. It was mind-blowing, and we set up the stage on the beach, you know. But from the very beginning, we had interest from the international press. You know, BBC, Reuters, RFI, a whole lot of them. Even Chinese state television, what is it called? CCTV. You know, they come around and they document, you know. Chalewote didn't really take off within the Ghanaian media until about 2016. You know, that's when people started paying attention. That's when people started talking about it. And they weren't saying nice things. I remember.
What did they say?
Just a lot of negativity. You know how it is.
Like?
Oh, Charlie, let's not go there. You know,
did people understand the concept? We live in a society where people see...
You can just ask questions.
Okay.
You know, and if you're a journalist, like basic journalist practice is asking questions at the very core of it, you know.
But
So
to the ordinary person, we see art as weird, something that
not
is
really. I think that's
a lot of people don't really see and appreciate it the way you see it.
I think that we need to take history more importantly, and we need to pay attention to our own history, because we've had, this renaissance that we're experiencing. Post-independence Ghana was like that. 60s into the 70s, even the 80s. Even during the revolution, people were still actively, producing art. Cultural engineers were still around, but there is also no memory. There's no institutional memory. It's almost non-existent. So even when things are documented, we don't go back to it. So sometimes you speak to young people and I feel like they say what they know sort of starts from when they become conscious, So there isn't an awareness of the past. The past is like consistently erased, so people have nothing to point to or have no reference point. And sometimes, something happens, they say it was the first time in Ghana. And I'm like, no, this happened like 30 years ago. You can't claim first time. Also, these people, and they are very definite that this is the first time it's happening. So it's like, are you, I don't know, like, you can't just wake up and say things and be so sure that it's never happened in this country before. When there's a long history of that.
Yeah.
But we don't pay attention to that. Do you have the very first broadcast from this station? You have it. You see we need that kind of archiving. Now if you need like video footage or audio from 1960s, 1970s Ghana, you have to talk to the BBC.
Yeah.
It's £5,000 a minute. I don't know if it's changed. The last time, 1 minute is £5,000. 1 minute.
1 minute?
Yes. And this is like old price from maybe 10 years ago. We're working on a project, and I remember it's 5,000 because you won't find it here. I know somebody who did a video art piece, a video installation, and he needed a lot of archival footage. If the gallery wasn't paying for it, I don't think they would have been able to raise the money to make it happen. Because you're paying like £40,000 alone for video footage. And you don't own it too. They are licensing it for you.
Wow.
Yeah, to use for a particular period, and after that period is done. Yes, but we should have that here.
Interesting. We're still right here, Joy 99.7 FM. We are having a chat with Mantse Aryeequaye, who is the director for Chalewote Street Art Festival. And also right in the studio, we have the founder of Emmy Awards Africa, Kojo Sobo. We also have Daddy Bosco. He's director of communications and projects at the Musicians Union of Ghana Music. And then poet and playwright Chief Mumin is also right here. If you have any question for Mantse, just send them via 055 997. Why don't we take a breather?
Daddy Boss.
Yeah.
we are Plekashi, yeah, meaning that we are descending, right? Plekashi is descending to with power. That's right.
Yeah.
Descending with power, and then small, we get to 21st through to 27, and it's all about Chalewote.
Right.
Joe 99.7 FM. So we're still right here with Mantse Aryeequaye, director, Chalewote Street Art Festival. And it's coming up from Monday through to Sunday. You know, the multimedia group is partnering with them. And so we're not leaving anything to chance at all. We are covering everything. You know, Chalewote comes with a colorful sight and scenes, covering everything arts, African heritage, dance, stick painting, graffiti murals, you name it. And since the multimedia group is involved, it's going to be explosive. Boom! So stick and stay with us. Joy 99.7 FM, Hits FM, Joy Prime TV, Joy News, and then myjoyonline.com. All our social media handles will be live. So let's get to know all the activities put together for this year's Chalewote Street Art Festival. But before that, though, let me come and speak to the panel that I have right here. Let me speak to Kojo Sobo. Kojo, why do you think it took some time for the people of Ghana to accept something valuable like this? Because from the time he started to the time it's actually picked off like that. Why did it take time like that?
I think that Ghanaians, it's usually very difficult for them to accept some things that are new, and usually when things hit outside or people outside Ghana accept or embrace something, or the media outside Ghana talk about something, we tend to accept it here easily. Then when you are starting to build something here, you need the support of our media, or the support of our people to build it up so that we take it outside. It's always easier for you to get support from outside, and then you blow up, and then the Ghanaians start looking for you. Like, what is happening here? And so I believe that Ghanaians should understand that we have very good products here. We have very good brands here. We have people who are doing, exceptional things here, and people who are who have the power to help or to support, to build people up, or to support these things to grow, should open up. I mean, there's power in knowing that you can help somebody to advance their dream, or advance look at if he didn't persist, we'll not be having such this valuable brand, and a lot of people are falling off. I mean, I can say my own story. I mean, it's and I know my brother here can also say,
yeah?
Sometimes it's just somebody giving you the recommendation that, oh, please help this guy. But they would, Ghana.
I think we need to ask Mantse, because did you really have a problem with acceptance, your brand? Because I felt that, maybe the time that I came, but
Right.
it looks like
at the time you came, we had settled in.
Okay.
And it wasn't so distant from the people.
Okay.
But from 2011
Okay.
till about 2016, it was that was a period I was addressing a few minutes
Okay.
ago, that people should just ask questions, and they won't, and then they'll just create controversy, and it was also part of the reason I stopped engaging traditional media, because even when you send them a press statement, a program, no, they don't. And then people show up, and I remember one time we went to a radio station, and we had some artists from Europe and South Africa, and when we left, they were like, we shouldn't have come here. These people don't know what they're talking about. It was embarrassing for me.
Because they don't read the brief.
No, they didn't.
Ask questions based on what you've impressed with.
You know, and it's not a good look, you know, for the country. I'll tell you a story. In 2008, they had the CNN African Journalist of the Year award thing here, and at the time I was editing Jive, and I was with Ani Osabute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was working with Ani at the time. They were operating from Holiday Inn, and we got a call to interview Zayn Virgie and somebody else. And when me and Osa walked in, when we found their operating room, and when we walked in, they were going through our news headlines and they were laughing, rolling, like basically making jokes about our newspaper content.
Why?
And you know, I think Annie was a bit confused, so he asked me, what story is that, man? I said, what do you think? What do you think? You know, and we need to take journalism more seriously. We need to take documenting of our culture more seriously. We need to create a language for the kind of art that we are doing here, the kind of music, because it's different. And it's important to create a language and give it an identity. You know, we've sat here and some people have taken our music and are living off of it. You know, there's just, until that Nigerian documentary came out with, what's the gentleman's name, who was just truthful that, you know, everything they're doing they got from Ghana. The first time I met Two-Face, he told me that they used to come here and they will buy tapes and go back to Lagos and they will mimic our sound. It was like a project, you know, and like, where's the documentary on all these cultural animators from the past? You know, Mustafa, Tete, Ade, Niashite, Konimo, Ambule, the Afrobeat Academy. Oh, how have I forgotten his name? It's my friend too. Ebo Taylor, Uncle Ebo Taylor. You know, like, these are amazing musicians. And now Strat Records is telling us who these people are. You know, we need to do better. I was saying earlier that we have momentum. You know, there's a lot of traction here. This is a time to start telling stories, start making films. It's a time to start writing the essays, you know, all the academic work. I was at a conference a few years ago, and some US academics, they did like a whole presentation on Chalewote. They didn't even know I was there. You know, and later on we were having a conversation and they were asking me, are there any Ghanaian academic projects on Chalewote? I said, not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of, but I have a whole file filled with dissertations and articles about Chalewote, and they are all from non-Ghanaian academic institutions. You know, so we have opportunity now. We need to, and there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work to go around. There's enough for everyone. Too much, actually. Too much. And we need to jump on it because the foreign galleries have started arriving in the last 6-7 years. You know, the foreign content companies are arriving, and we shouldn't let the creative space or industry be treated like what has happened to the extractive mineral industry, where, you know, big companies are coming and extracting and taking away and selling it. You know, we need to take charge of this space. We need to be investing. When people come in, they need to be talking to the people who are working. You know, other countries have laws that protect their industries from, you know, foreign direct investment, displacing what they're doing. So there's the cultural space has, I think it has opportunity to create more jobs than anything I can think of now.
Yeah.
Without destabilizing the environment, also.
Let me. I just want to highlight. He's made a very important point, and I was going to make that, and I'm glad he talked about that. The importance of documentation. Because a lot of things is happening in our society. Oftentimes, when you look at more mature economies, there are usually a lot of grants, endowments that you can apply for to tell all kinds of stories that may not necessarily have a commercial value, right? That's one gap we have in our society. There's literally nothing like that unless you actually go back to these foreign institutions, and some of them may have their own things that they want to do, right? So that's one of the areas that, for example, you need state support, because it's not everything that's going to be a commercial venture. So the state must have a project where it is actively providing opportunities, funding opportunities, whether through already established states, production, like we have a whole GTV, sitting down with a lot of resources. With a bit more innovation and funding, some of these things can be done by them. And I'm happy he talked about academia. Every year, we churn out thousands of students from our academic institutions. When you go to University of Ghana, University of Cape Coast, University of Winneba, all of these institutions have an arts department, right? What kind of, sometimes you may realize that we may all be doing the same kind of research, So can we be a bit more daring and experimental? Can academia be more open? For example, there was an article some time back about one guy in Harvard who did, a whole dissertation on a hip hop artist or so. Maybe if you say I want to do a dissertation on Sarkodie, it may not be as, maybe things are changing, but we also need to begin to think outside the box and deploy our intellectual talents, because that's a resource. The hours that you spend. And it's not a commercial opportunity, it's research. So can we also get more active in exploring non-traditional topics, for example? And when those topics are explored, can we not let them just gather dust, in the libraries? I was reading an article by James Cameron, and how did he teach himself how to direct? He said he just went to the university and picked dissertations that people had written, on, directing and the evolution of the technology, and that's how he studied. So essentially, our academia can play a very vital role in we're gathering knowledge that we would need, now and in the future. But then we have to first explore different non-traditional topics, but also make those, topics accessible, and that's one of the. For example, I did playwriting at the University of Ghana, right? Every year, several students do playwriting, but at the end of the day, our works get up, stored in the libraries. I'm asking myself, over the years, over the decades, that, for example, the School of Performing Arts has been admitting students to do playwriting, how many gems have we lost? Because the opportunity has not been created enough to exhibit what they have done. So we can also think of how to use our institutions, deploy our intellectual resources in the documentation process. But most importantly, we need people, we need patrons of the art, and we need government to think of these areas that will not necessarily be a commercial venture, but will play a very important role in cultural creation. And to end, investment in the arts. For me, that's been my number one pitch, and all my pitch for the Mantse World project I've been on.
We're going there.
People are investing a lot, people are coming into our system, and if we don't raise our own champions, 10, 20 years from now, the biggest cultural products from Africa will not be by Africans. And they will stand a chance of, drawing the cultural value. And I always use Lion King as an example. Lion King, the musical, is an African aesthetic when you look at it. And in fact, they even bring in artists from South Africa and other places. Lion King is grossing almost $10 billion in the box office. That's just the musical, not even the whole Lion King enterprise plus the film plus the merchandise. So if an African culture well curated like this can command such economic value, how about ours?
But that's exactly what I was saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if somebody had written that script,
Yes.
and was sitting here in Ghana,
No, you wouldn't.
would not have gotten the kind of nobody would even give the person an audience.
I mean, 6 years and
That's what I'm
counting, but
saying.
we have to keep pushing. Yeah? Lion King was a $25 million investment,
Yes.
right? Where's the
Yes.
African blockbuster? What's the highest amount we've ever put in an African production, for example? In theater, for example, the average theater production in Ghana, I will hazard a guess to say $5,000. I mean, for the big boys, who are not many, they may be spending $10,000 a production. In the
For
big,
what production?
theater production. I'm looking at my industry, right?
Okay.
But what is the global standard? If you go to the big theater market, they are spending millions of dollars. So until we are able to leverage a certain kind of investment to curate a certain kind of cultural value, we will not be able to curate the commercial benefit. But others will come and actually do that for us. So now I'm in a campaign where for the past years I've just been trying to raise investors locally. Because at the end of the day, it also comes down to ownership. The more we bring in foreigners, the more they have a bigger pie of the commercial value.
All right, thank you, Chief Mumin. Melvin Aryeequaye, happy to hear your voice on Joy FM. Very proud of you and your achievements with Chalewote Festival. I wish you well in this year's project, Nimanche. This is from Joanna Roxton. You know her?
That's an old friend.
So you
That's
see
no
where the
friend.
Melvin is coming from.
Yeah.
And Jay Foley says hi. And Kent is also listening to us now. You can send in your questions or your messages right now to 055-1111-997. So Chief Mumin just mentioned investment. Before I even come to that Bosco, Nimanche,
Yes, sir.
how have you fared in terms of funding?
So when we started Chalewote and started approaching people, they will say, what you're doing is very niche. Yeah, it's very niche. And it was niche, but usually when you approach people and they say what you're doing is niche, it means that they are not interested.
Yeah.
We've had to create a system where we had to pay for this thing ourselves. It's either that or nothing. I think for me personally, I believed in it enough to keep repeatedly investing in it, and making huge losses, and then you go back and you do it again. In 2018, if that government submersion hadn't come, Charlie, I don't know, because it was a really difficult time for us, and we were, we contemplated a lot of things. So I tell people the only time we've had anything that one can call sponsorship, it came from the Ministry of Tourism in 2018.
That was the only time.
Yes.
And after that, you didn't get anything?
No, that's like corporate sponsorship.
Corporate, okay.
We've never had corporate sponsorship ever
It's terrible,
before.
man.
What the corporations do is that they ambush. I was just speaking about that on another platform. So let's say a drinks company is coming into the location, and then they have, you have long conversations with them for months. You agree on something, and just when you're going to sign a contract, they ghost. And then on the day off, they show up, and they supply all the drinking pops in the community with their product and their brand, and then they go away.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why would you allow that?
No, well, we don't allow that. It's we've had to make a lot lot slide.
Sometimes I just don't understand this corporate, because if you do this, you are killing the brand, the same brand that you want to benefit from.
They don't, the marketing people don't see it like that.
Oh God, that has been my argument. Like, most of the marketing managers of our need to go on marketing courses, maybe to be honest, because sometimes they have no clue. You speak to them, you bring fresh ideas, and they are stuck in the old things. And I travel a lot. I interact with a lot of marketing managers outside, and the way they receive things, the way when you pitch an idea to them, they look at how they can benefit from. They would even tell you that no, okay, I think we can put it this way, we can do it that way. But the Ghana people, you tell them your idea, they have no other idea to add, and they are still criticized. Like, what is happening here? And that is why they are not even able to convince the corporation to put more money in marketing, because they have no ideas. And so every year they are cutting budgets. Because the money they give them, they are not able to spend or defend the expenditure. It's another topic for another day.
I was at a conference one time, and somebody mentioned a brand, a corporation in Ghana that had a $3 million advertising budget a year. So I had to wonder, so where is this money going? Every year they have $3 million to spend.
As a marketing manager, you need to be able to defend.
Yeah, right.
That okay, I need this amount of money, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is what benefits the company is going to get from it. But because they are lazy and they don't want to work, they Sebi. because some of them don't want to work, they would rather take the very small budget and and do the little brand here.
Yeah.
Oh, put it in traffic, like the basic things. Meanwhile, you can go all out
Think outside
and
the box.
think outside the box and make your company visible first and foremost, and make more money, make more sales.
But Mantse, how are they?
He hasn't finished
how,
the $3 million story.
Like you see, you're interested.
well, yeah, I mean,
Just like myself.
when the individuals finished speaking during the networking session, I asked them where that money was going because I live in Accra, I don't see it.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, it's usually like it's pumped. I said, no, like just show me a few things that this supposed $3 million is like circulating. So there is money available. There's money available.
To be honest, Chalewote should be having $5 million
Yes.
sponsorship, airline sponsorship. If Chalewote was in UK, or they would be getting this kind of sponsorship.
Huge.
I was in a meeting in Nigeria.
Let's start with 1
I
million.
was in a
at
meeting in
least.
Nigeria.
Let's start with 1 million.
No. They have grown to
Yeah.
Right.
I was in a meeting in Nigeria. I was going to do a pitch for sponsorship, and a project or an event that is, I don't want to mention the name of the event, was pitching for $5 million in Nigeria.
And you say,
Wow.
Yes,
and you compared it to the small that you are.
and the people were actually considering it. To be honest,
Yeah.
we are joking.
I asked somebody for $2 million,
We're
and
joking.
And
the
the
way they
person said?
responded, I
Yeah,
knew
like-
that they're just clueless. You're absolutely clueless. So it's part of the reason we stopped knocking on doors for sponsorship.
But back to the companies that renege on the agreement and still come to the place to mount their wares there.
They don't care.
They don't. But don't you have control over the
chase them
space?
out.
No, you cannot control it.
You don't.
Well, one can, but also when you have people in the community conniving with companies to ambush, it becomes more difficult to control. So and these things, if you don't handle it properly, it can escalate into
Yeah. Yes.
situations.
Some
Yes.
things.
We have a solid legal team now.
Okay.
So I'd like to see somebody try this time. I'd like to see them try.
No, and I think that
Oh, this
one
is
of
good.
the
I
Manche-
really,
I think
really
that
like
one of
that.
the unique also
I really
that
like
one
that.
of the things about Chalewote was that was a community driven.
Right.
So Chalewote does not own the community, right? So if someone says I want to exhibit this
Yes,
product in front of
yeah,
my house, it
yeah.
will be very difficult for them to enforce.
Yeah.
But when you move into a controlled environment,
Yes.
like the Independence Square, then you
Yeah.
have more control,
Yeah.
right?
I
So I
get
think
it.
that that's why he was
That's
trying
right.
to say that
Get it.
sometimes you just allow certain things to go.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's a community-driven
Yes.
approach. It's about getting the whole community
Manche,
involved. And
yes.
those are some of the traits. Of
How many
the traits.
sponsors do you have this year?
We don't have sponsorship.
Oh, this year too?
No.
How
At all?
No, but he
No.
said he stopped going to.
No,
look
but
for-
you see, the marketing managers should come to him. They should come to him.
They don't care.
After how many
Should
years?
come to
They
him.
don't
This is
care.
the 13th edition of Chalewote.
They should come
So-
to him.
so
look at the prospects.
We've had to create a system for this festival to pay for itself eventually, and we're on our way there.
Okay.
Outside of sponsorship, if the sponsorship comes, it's like cream on top. You know what I mean? Also, Chalewote is free. There's no cover charge to it. The cheapest tickets at Afropunk is $150. People go to Abuchi and go to Afropunk. And $150 is popular stand though. It's popular stand. So
And Chalewote is free,
right, it's free. Chalewote is free.
but Afro Nation, Afro Chala is charged.
yeah.
So if you are not getting sponsorship, how are you funding the projects? Are you making any gains at all?
We haven't made a profit in
For
12
all
years.
these years?
No, we haven't.
So why are you still doing it?
But it will get there.
Because it has to be done. Somebody has to do it. I mean, look at how this thing has inspired the whole continent.
Yeah.
There are replications of Chalewote all over the continent. Some of them openly acknowledge it. Some of them, invite us to come. And they openly say that, we're doing this because of what you're doing in Accra. Some of them were here between 2015 to 2017 sort of like paying attention
To detail.
to
look at it so
detail,
they
look,
can
you
also
know,
replicate.
and you know they've implemented things in their country. It's not as big as Chalewote, but it's it's a start.
Growing.
It's growing. We're collaborating also with the Ministry of Tourism and Ghana Tourism Authority, and they're absorbing some of our costs.
Oh,
know.
oh, really?
Yes.
This
so
year?
again,
This year?
I mean, well, yes, and you see how important.
How
it
much
is.
are they giving this year?
Oh,
because we
I
know-
can't say.
Master, how can
I
you
can't
say?
say. I can't
But they're
say.
absorbing some of the costs.
But they're
Yeah.
absorbing. some
Because the
of our
last
costs.
time it was 300,000 Ghana cedis.
That was in
300,000. That was
2018.
2018.
Yes.
So why can't we know for
$30,000.
20?
Oh, you know. Yeah, later. Later. But
Oh, you are
but-
still talking.
No, I mean, no, we are in business. We are.
It's work in progress.
Yes, it's working. But also, I want to state how important it is for state support
Okay.
to drive some of these things, and the importance, because the state benefits immensely from Chalewote, so I suppose this is their way of also giving back. We are growing, so as the years go along, I'm sure that the support will increase, if sponsorship comes, fine, but we're not sitting around waiting for it.
Yeah.
We've gone way past that.
I like that.
And I mean, now we have a pretty solid team. It's legal is so important. Like having lawyers is so important. I mean, they show you everywhere you're hemorrhaging, and what you can do to counter it. That's what I'm saying. I like to see somebody try. So I guess for us, I don't want us to be in a situation. A friend of mine does a festival in Zanzibar,
Okay.
and it's dependent on a grant from a European country. A few years ago, there was some disagreements, and your man go tell the people in mind, do you know they didn't give me money for the festival? Yeah, so for that year, the festival didn't happen. You don't want to put yourself in that kind of situation where your whole production is dependent on a grant. What if the economies of that country collapse?
Sure.
Then the grant is not coming. That means your festival is also not coming on. So, I mean, sponsorship is great, but also it's important for us to also create an independent means of funding cultural engineering projects, And, I mean, whatever happens moving forward, it's a bonus. Like this year, we're in a more definitive collaboration with multimedia. They're supporting all our projects. And I mean, the Blitz has been fabulous, I have to say. Shout out Multimedia. Hey.
Yeah.
Oh no, multimedia. If they go for it, they go for
Oh,
it.
yeah.
If they won't do it, they won't do it.
You can
But if
never
they will
can.
do it,
You cannot can.
yeah.
No, listen, from
Large and in
That's-
charge.
listen,
That's
from
I
when
can,
the Blitz started, if I tell you the phone calls that have come,
Wow.
yeah, people are suddenly
Wow.
showing up.
Wow.
Philip,
You know,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Philip, and then
Mr.
them and then-
9.
this morning, about 2 days ago, I got a call from Nia, our director of operations. You see, my name is I'm go away. Now
For the
you
benefit
see-
of us,
Some people are coming.
No, but
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, why are you waiting for multimedia to
Tell
jump on this thing?
tell them we are large and in charge. We've
And
taken
then,
charge.
Like you're bothering people, and then they are coming to bother me. And now that the festival is in like 4 days, and
Yeah.
Other
2
media
days.
are coming.
no businesses also. And these are people who came and left, and now they're seeing that multimedia is firing.
Yeah.
You want to come? We've passed that. And I mean, like now we can't even take on. I don't know, but shout out multimedia, Charlie. You guys have done excellent.
Yeah, guys, multimedia,
Excellent.
we're doing it. So from
Yeah.
Monday to Sunday, you need to stay tuned to Joy FM, Hits FM, Joy News, Joy Prime. Be on our social media handles, myjoyonline.com, everywhere. But let's talk about why you are moving from Jamestown to Osu.
Sunny name. Everywhere I go, did they ask me?
No, we for ask.
Somebody said, "I don't quite any drama."
Yeah.
Mm.
So I better make you sanitizer for us.
We have better opportunity and better ways to set up our exhibitions at our new location in Osu. Our performance spaces, our exhibition spaces have been hijacked. So, and then also, you know what? Let's just talk about it. Fuck it. There are attempts to hijack the festival by certain interests. There are attempts to derail the festival by certain interests. And it's either I move or I'll confront them. And when I confront them, go hear a good thing. Nobody has a monopoly over violence. No one. It is not 1985. You understand what I'm saying? So we've had to move because I'd rather have peace than confront people. Because if I decide to confront people, you cannot, Charlie. We have better opportunity where we are.
That's right.
We have better opportunity where we are. People will be able to see the art. People will be able to participate in the festival more fully. And I have family in Jamestown.
Mm.
My great-grandmother's house is in Adansi. I'm not a stranger there. Both my parents have family houses in Jamestown, so I'm not a guest. I didn't grow up there, and when we're moving into Jamestown, I was warned repeatedly. Shout out DJ Jules. He was the first person to tell me not to go to Jamestown. Next time I see Jules, I have to give him his rock. I have to give him, yeah.
Bayote.
Yeah. Not just Jules, but I went into that community to work, to lift it up. I don't know why. I was driven there, and we've created a whole ecosystem, a whole economic structure that is still there even without the festival. That's the legacy of Chalewote. The walking tours that are happening there, that's a product of Chalewote. All the cultural activities that are happening there, that's a product of Chalewote. When we went into Jamestown, their traditional festivals were all but dead. In 2014, we started marketing the traditional festivals alongside Chalewote. At some point, people thought that the traditional festivals and Chalewote were the same. That was a deliberate thing. To create a cultural viability for that community, so they can fend for themselves. I was committed to that project. It was like a spiritual pilgrimage for me. That's why we were there making losses, and in 2017, that's when the decision was made that we should move. And I said, no, we're not going anywhere. We can fix this thing. But now it's gone beyond. People are taking a piss now. When you have, a quasi-state agency actively attempting to disrupt what we're doing. Something that is employing thousands of people. So it's either that or one has to confront this foolishness that is going on. And, in the name of peace, we've decided to move to a new location. I've restricted myself. If I say what really made us move, people will rise up against them over there, against those individuals. So I won't say anything. At the right time we can have that discussion.
Okay, but have you put in place checks and measures to forestall anything that will happen? Anything?
We're working with national security. The national security
to
is in
prevent
charge.
whatever happened at Jamestown happening at Osu? Have you put in place all the measures?
I
No.
think we have a more progressive leadership within that community, within Osu. And I doubt if we will have the same issues.
Okay.
And these, I mean, we didn't have these issues from the beginning. It was when the festival started growing, you know, nobody was interested in Chalewote until it actually started growing. And then people want to hijack it or derail it. Listen, there are things that I'm not saying here. And maybe after
Let's focus on pushing the
right.
So my next question ties into this one sent by FM from Prom Prom, and he's saying, can he elaborate on the entire celebration, how the entire celebration will be void of the popular Jamestown-like sceneries, how are vendors going to be positioned, etc. Thanks. And so this ties into my question as in, what are the activities? How's the whole thing going to look like at Osu from Monday?
So for anyone that knows where the State Farms starts from, is by the High Court complex. From that traffic light, all the way through Independence Square, all the way into Osu Castle, all the way into the Osu community, onto Oxford Street. But our main activities will be within the Independence Square, and then the Castle Drive into the Osu Castle and the Osu community, you know.
Does the stretch cover the Kenketsala around Papaye?
I mean, last week we had a meeting with the Oxford Street business community, and they're really excited about, you know, Chalewote coming. They've been dying for something like that to come for years. You know, I think the gentleman mentioned that the last time they had anything like that was during the Vibrant Street Carnival.
Yeah.
Shout out
So
Mike Cook. You know, they were bringing artists from the Caribbean and stuff. You know, and since that time they haven't really had anything. So there's more positivity in this new location and community. There's also a lot more support. We've received a lot of support from the assembly, from the MP of Chalewote, Dr. Zenato. It's been a pretty smooth ride.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will give a
beautiful.
fresh take
Yes.
on
Yes.
the festival.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
to have
And
it
that
a
space
little
is
different.
also beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, and also
With monuments,
and also I think that because of what we did in Jamestown, there's people think that the thing that are in Jamestown, it's only in Jamestown.
Oh, okay.
You know, these historical sites and the history and all of that. It's all over the coast.
Yeah.
You know, from Volta to Western region. It's all over the coast. And the thing about Osu is that prior to us going into Jamestown, nobody knew about the history of Jamestown. Nobody cared about it. Osu has equally significant history that has also been obscured. You know, I mean, it's there, but nobody talks about it. So this is
Opportunity
right.
to-
This is also an opportunity to highlight that. You know, with the communal history of the space, their activities. So it's an opportunity to also recreate what we've done in Jamestown.
Great.
In Osu, you
Great.
know, and all of that is also learning. You know, with I'm very big on history. I'm a student of history, so it's important to understand these things, and also the role that Osu played in our state formation. You know, as a nation, the castle itself, you know, has a significant memory that has been. We've only scratched the surface, you know. So we're looking forward to more communal engagement, more exploration, and also creating a visual reference for that historical space, also through performance or visual art, or however we are able to deploy it, you know. And who knows, in a few years, you know, we'll activate the whole coast of Guinea.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, it's interesting to see it. In Keta, in Winneba, in
Yeah.
That's where the 5 million comes in.
Right.
Because this brings me to the question. Some people were suggesting that why don't you let Ghana have an experience of Chalewote in almost every region? Somebody
it's possible.
made this suggestion
It's
last
possible.
year.
Welcome,
It's possible. I mean, from 2016 till about 2019, before COVID, we would have satellite events in other countries.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
But nobody in the Ghanaian media picked up on it. You know, we'll have exhibitions in Johannesburg at the same time.
No, you didn't tell us.
No, it's in our program. It's in our social
Yeah,
media
but that
sites.
is
You
what's
don't.
working for them because then it attracts more
Yeah.
people from the diaspora to come.
You know. You know.
Okay.
But we're here now. Let's not dwell on the things that have
Exactly.
been. Yeah, we're moving forward.
So on Monday we're starting. What time?
On Monday, 3 p.m., we open with an all-white procession from the Osu Castle into the Osu community.
Okay.
Through the Black Star Square and back to
All white.
all white.
Any reason for that?
It's called a Day of Remembering.
What
You
are we
know.
remembering?
We're remembering the departed.
Okay.
We're also remembering ourselves as in who we are as people. And also, it's also a celebration
Okay.
of everything that we've done over the last 13 cycles. There'll be performances in the castle. The opening exhibition for Charlie Wote by a really talented Ghanaian art collective called Afwabe. The name of the exhibition is This Is Not Make Believe. That's going to be at inside the Castle Gardens on Monday. It opens on Monday throughout the week until the 27th. And then from the 22nd, from Tuesday to Friday, we have the film labs and film salons. We're screening films from all over the world, but particularly from the continent and, directors of African descent. We have films from the Caribbean, Guyana, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. And, when you see these films, you see how connected we are to these people, how similar our cultures are. One of the films is about stilt walkers, the stilt walking culture in Trinidad and Tobago, and we have that here, from Winneba all the way into Western region. Basically, if you take out the language they're speaking, they're talking about us, So this is an opportunity for us to also engage the Caribbean. I'm more interested in us connecting with other folks of African descent in the Caribbean, in South America, in Latin America. There's those people are much closer to us than we're also Asia. Asia. It's we need to pay attention to the art space in Asia and Southeast Asia. There's a lot of activity there. There's a lot of innovation that we can also study and implement here. We have some really interesting guests from South Africa coming, filmmakers and actors.
Interesting.
They're bringing this new film to premiere here. It will be the first time they're screening it in West Africa. There'll be special workshops and salons that are open to the public. So from 22nd to 25th, the Friday, there are films, there are salons, there are labs, conversation, all of them happening inside the Osu Castle, On the weekend, 26th and 27th, that's when we'll be at the Independence Square. We'll have exhibitions all over. It'll be more accessible, it'll be more visible. And I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to meeting people and how they're going to interact with, the art now in a much more open and comfortable space, Yeah.
And then on Saturday and Sunday.
On Saturday and Sunday, we have a massive music stage. All kinds of artists are coming. It will be exciting. So that area, Nationalism Park, the Independence Arc, all of that area, the area around NDK towards the Accra Sports Stadium parking lot. You know, we will have activities all over that place. Yeah.
Okay, let me come to Daddy Bosco. What do you make of all the activities he's already mentioned? Even before I come with my follow-up questions, then I come to you, Kojo and Chief Mumin.
Okay, so I've been trying to picture it all
Yes.
in my mind. Because you see that Castle Drive,
Yeah.
the good thing will be that there will be people who are exclusively there for the festival.
Yeah.
You know, so I believe it will be more. Okay, let me say this. You see, in Jamestown, it's in front of people's houses, and there's a community there already. This drive, although their houses, that area is not very populated, and so I want to see how the real Chalewote crowd will be doing there. Another thing that intrigues me is the castle grounds, and I'm imagining the layout in the castle gardens, how it all play out. Then you come to the weekend, where he spoke about the use of the Black Star Square, the Jubilee Park, and the car park in front of the sports stadium.
Yeah.
So many pictures are playing in my mind, and I can't wait to participate in that. Of course, we old school people will be very selective in where we go. You know, Charlie, because I tell you, the two times. Okay, make a talk. The two times I've been to Chalewote, the density of the crowd,
No be easy.
massa, don't go there. And then there was one night that Nana came. Charlie, that one, yes,
Which
like,
Nana?
President.
Nana
Masa.
Tekwado.
Well, he's like you have him on speed dial.
No, you see, that day the crowd
just
too
kidding.
was different.
Okay.
And one thing I'd like to say is, I'm happy he's saying he's getting some state support.
Yeah.
This has to be institutionalized.
Yes.
Because you see, if you look at Chalewote, the benefits to the country, apart from the economy for the local economy, like the people living there, the money they make. And let me make a confession. My nephew's fashion design career actually got a big boost because Mantse goes to Chalewote like seriously, and the kind of reception he gets there, you know. So I'm actually looking forward to this new look Chalewote and how it will play out. Yeah.
Okay, Chief Mumin.
Yeah, I'm very excited. You know, the Castle Drive is it's a place that people haven't really seen. So I'm excited about the accessibility of that place too, because obviously it's also a security zone. In fact, the whole Christian Bock Castle, let's say, that whole area is a security zone. So opening it up, it's a beautiful way for people to actually explore. That whole drive is also very powerful. So I'm excited to see it from where you mentioned the Supreme Court. You said traffic light, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, past the Nkrumah Mausoleum all the way to
No.
The
Where is
state
it?
farms.
The state farm.
farms where the court,
the high court, okay,
but
the
then
new
you're
building.
going towards
Okay,
the,
yeah. So
what you call
when
it,
you are going to
the
Nkrumah
Black Star
place, that's
Square.
close to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
when you
that's
go to
close
Black
to.
Star
Yeah,
Square,
Black Star.
right.
So I get it. Yes. So from the high court traffic light up. So that's the Osu territory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where
So-
the kinky is.
Yes, and I think that one of the things that
on the Oxford Street.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it goes-
yeah, no, the kinky there's a difference.
He likes kinky.
And you know, at that kinky, when you go down, just a few meters on your left, there's this woman who used to sell rice and stew in the evening. But I think the important point I want to make is that most people, know about. They usually attend the weekend, events,
Yeah.
right? But Chalewote offers a variety of, activities, screenings, art talks. So if you really want to immerse yourself in the Chalewote experience, I think that you should actually download the program and try and find one or two events that you are interested in and attend. As he said, Manchester, there are some South African filmmakers who are coming. I'll be interested in going for some of those sessions. So I think that people should even look beyond the excitement of the 2 days of the weekend, because the whole week of activities, and actually try and immerse themselves in some of the curations that are happening, the programs that are happening. I think that you'll find it quite interesting and fulfilling. And I'm also interested in seeing some of the arts on exhibition, and whether there are any new names that are going to get their big breaks and all of
Lots
that.
of new names.
Yes,
Talented
I'm
folk.
interested in that
Talented
as well.
folk.
So that is one of the major things about that platform. It's a platform, that a lot of people don't notice, and it serves as a springboard. And I think that when we also think of Chalewote, as he said, it's an institution. We should think beyond Mantse. the success of this would be that it continues, ad
Beyond
infinitum, even beyond the current generation of people
Yeah.
who have put it together. Because when you look at the complexity of organizing something like this, that it's just not one person. There's a whole team that has come together, and it is their legacy combined. Both past, present, and future. So we are hoping that this will be another good Chalewote experience, a shot in the arm, and we'll be there to enjoy it.
Kojo, which of the activities?
Just to add to
Okay,
what
add to it.
Chief Omain was saying, there's a fixation with the Chalewote weekend, which is great. But then we have programming from Monday to Friday, and a lot of the labs and the salons, when you go there, is filled with non-Ghanaians.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
Lots of non-Ghanaians. It's as if we're not interested in the intellectual stuff, and it's all for free. It's free knowledge that you can just come in.
What about getting some of the schools involved?
So they can come.
Maybe
Well-
for next year.
Well, we've had
found
a
something
lot
in
of
the past.
Yeah.
engagement with non-Ghanaian universities from North America, from Europe. This year, there's
The College of Arts and Design University.
Professor Keteku and his students from a university in Canada. I can't remember the name.
That's what I'm
That
mentioning.
he's brought like a whole
Bunch.
bunch of students to participate who are, they'll be part of the artists who will be exhibiting work and performing. We're working with Lododo Arts, which is led by
Okay.
Yeah, just so.
Dr. Fafali Dogbaji. She's directing an amazing theater piece for the weekend. It's about the arrival of the Tabon people on the coast of Accra. These are
From Brazil.
These are Afro-Brazilians who fought their way out of enslavement and came back to the continent, and they landed in Accra. That's how the Tabon people were created. So at our office in Jamestown, that's where Mama Naso settled. That's the first.
Okay.
So there's a whole theater piece about the movement of Afro-Brazilian warriors to Accra. 3 waves came in 1836. Some of them landed in Accra, others landed in Togo and Badagry in Nigeria. So there's a theater piece that
Very interesting to see.
talks about that, and also that's one of the obscured history that I was speaking about earlier on. So look out for that inside.
Majority of the enslaved people actually ended up in the Americas, right?
Right.
The Caribbeans,
Right.
Just a few of them got to the United, about 7% to the United
Right.
States. But
So
the
that's
majority-
going to be inside the Osu Castle
All right.
on the 26th and the
26th,
27th.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be in the evenings, right? Oh,
Yeah, from 3 p.m. onwards.
I see the
Okay, Kojo,
7 p.m. here.
we have a number of activities lined up.
Yeah, but first I'd like to applaud him for his consistency
Yeah.
and courage. I know the space. I know how difficult it is. I know how difficult it is, and for a project this magnitude, guy, kudos, man. And I mean, the challenges will come, but please don't stop. This is something that.
When I didn't reach now, I go stop.
Yeah, but
Like
you
I
know,
go lash some 34. No, I swear.
yes, you've done great. You've done really, really great with this. And
Thank you.
I mean, we are all
Thank
here
you.
to support you. We'll be there.
Thank you.
To check out all the stuff. I have a lot of friends who have sent me messages, and we are going to Chalewote this weekend. So definitely we'll be there to support you.
Thank you.
Keep the fire burning.
Thank
This is a national treasure that we
Thank
need
you.
to throw our weight behind.
All right, Joy 99.7
Right
FM. We have some. Okay, this message is from Shem Mixon Yabua, and he says, Chalewote is home to every native African, filled with positive vibes, vibrant energy, while basking in plenty indigenous Ghanaian artifacts.
Quite apt.
Bros
Quite apt,
Bars BQ is rapping live with our display of food, tourism, and barbecue arts. Brilliant. Okay. We need to identify our true selves as Africans, and Chalewote is the gateway. Kudos to the whole Chalewote team. Yeah, Shem.
Sharp.
That's great. Now, I have this question. So, I hear we have about 120 musicians and bands performing during the weekend.
All together. Yeah, all the artists. Visual artists, musicians, theater people.
120.
Yeah.
Who are behind these productions?
We have
120 groups actually.
Groups,
right? Not individuals. Because I'm sure if you add the numbers,
well,
of the
if
bands,
it's different collectives. Yeah, all together.
Some
They can
maybe
handle.
one or
I
more.
think that the number might have gone up. Yeah. But basically, all the visual artists, musicians, creatives who are working, we have. At the time that our press release came out, it was about 120 people. Yeah.
If an artist wants to perform, on Saturday evening,
right?
Who do they contact?
It's kind of late now.
Yeah.
It's late.
It's kind of late. It's kind of late. We have the call comes out in January or February, and the deadline is in May, and then there's a selection process, and then we reach out to the selected people and we participate. Sometimes people don't pay attention to the call, and last minute, like the whole of this week, there's been all kinds of emails forwarded to me. So it's late. If you want to perform nowadays, it's late. It's late.
So you are listening.
It's planning. I mean,
yeah,
you can't come last
and sometimes
minute.
people show up and they want to perform, and they say, "Oh, like it's not possible." And they think that you're ignoring them. No, but there's a running order. Like you're going to throw the whole thing off, and we need to also appreciate that. We took deliberate steps in 2018 to open up the applications for Ghanaian artists, because between 2017 to about 2019, the international artists were beating us like 5-1. So at some point it started looking like the international artists were more visible, or sort of were taking over the festival, So we had to create a deliberate system to take in, more Ghanaian artists. And sometimes, there might be things that a lot of artists take for granted, like how to put together a portfolio, how to write about your art, how to project yourself as an artist. When you ask people to do that, there's a bit of difficulty, because of course most of the time artists are not. You're creating by inspiration, So we haven't mastered, or a lot of artists coming up haven't mastered a way of representing themselves, That's something we're consistently working on. So between the minute the deadline is announced, or we get to the deadline, we start workshopping everything from May all the way into August. And that's been helpful. One can see how that has impacted the practice of, some of our very big artists. So just, people need to understand it's a system. One can not just show up on a day off and say they want to perform. And also there are things that are happening off-site. You can participate in that. People come to Chalewote and create their own ciphers. That's why we're there. You can do that, within a space that is approved for that. But as in like official programming, like the music stage and all of that stuff is done.
Okay.
We finished that 3 months ago.
Boxing. There is street boxing as well.
So the boxing was unique to our last location. It's
not happening this year?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because boxing is actually a Jamestown thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, but also too, you can box for somebody to
There'll be
sue.
other. There are other interesting
You
things.
hit somebody now, Osu.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A boat race on the ocean,
Right.
Regatta, like.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Listen, if you see the our original structure of Chalewote, all of that stuff is in there. It's I mean, it needs to be paid for.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so once we're able to get the resource for it, you know, a lot of the things from our original template, you know, it'll still be very fresh the minute we're able to implement it. And like I said, you know, we can activate the whole coast of Guinea.
Who qualifies for media accreditation?
We have an arrangement with multimedia,
Yeah,
so they have first dibs.
exactly.
If other media want to cover it, they'll have to go through multimedia. They should ask. Come and ask Philip.
No, wait a minute.
No. Listen, you can apply to
Daddy Bosco has an interest in this
for
one.
documenters. we have a content licensing policy
Okay.
that's online. You know, it comes with a form that you can fill, and you know, whatever you want to do, there's a breakdown. Once you fill the form and it comes through, you'll be accredited. You know, but for major broadcasts and stuff like that, we're doing it with multimedia.
Large and in charge.
All right. So if I'm a photographer, I want to come.
Yeah,
and
you
take
apply.
photos,
You apply. Yeah, online.
Is it late too?
No,
to
it's
apply?
not. It's not at all. If you go on our website, accra.altradio.com, it's the forms are there. It's on our Facebook page, the Chalewote Facebook.
Oh, okay.
You can, once you open the link, there's a whole form there you can fill.
Any fee to pay?
Yes, there's a cover charge depending on what you're doing. It varies. Yeah.
But it's on the form.
Yeah, everything is on the form. Yeah.
All right, guys. So, Ni,
Yes, sir.
you have anything to say again to our people out there? Because
Come out to Osu from the 21st to 27th. Let's make history. And thank you for all the love and thank you for all the support. And for the people who have believed in what we're doing all these 12 years and our 13 cycles, thank you very much. Yeah, shout out to the people who have shown us love. That's all I have to say. That's kept us going. Thank you. And thanks to multimedia. Now, because of you people, I have to turn off my phone.
Mataka, man.
Mataka.
All right. Thanks so much, Ni Mantse Aryeequaye, also known as Melvin. Thanks for coming.
Why you can't talk this matter? Now people,
Director of Chalewote Street Art Festival, and it's happening from Monday 21st August to Sunday 27th August. We're still here on Joe 99.7 FM. It's Showbiz A to Z.